Right now on Upfront.
Overturned.
This is a brazen political activism at its worst.
This is just a beginning of the movement.
A Dane County judge declaring Act 10 unconstitutional.
We will not rest.
The legal battle just beginning. And now Governor Tony Evers is here. Are you going to run for re-election? Our exclusive sit-down at the Capitol. The budget fight days away. What's next for Democrats? Trump's promise of mass deportations and his future. Then the lame duck sprint.
How was the meeting with Senator Thune?
The meeting was great.
President-elect Trump's nominees flooding Capitol Hill. Congress needing to fund the government. President Biden's controversial pardon.
Joe Biden bald-faced lied to the American public once again.
House Republicans preparing for a razor-thin majority. Congressman Tom Tiffany is here on the path ahead. And race to the top.
The path to victory is wide open.
Behind the scenes to become the next Democratic National Committee chair. Longtime DNC member Jim Zogby taking us inside just moments away.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Governor Tony Evers says he has yet to meet with Republican leaders since last month's elections ahead of what could be a bruising budget battle in Madison. Democrats picking up seats in both the Assembly and Senate. Republicans, though, still controlling both chambers. All this as a Dane County judge this past week overturned Act 10, the highly controversial Walker-era law, all but eliminating collective bargaining for most public workers. It is here we started our interview with the governor at the Capitol. Governor, thank you for your time. I want to start with Act 10 and the developments we saw play out in the court this past week. You said the other day that this is just the beginning of the movement, indicating there's more court action coming. Should the judge stay this decision until all of this works itself out through the courts?
Yeah, I think so. It's the only way to come to final conclusion is to have it gone through the courts. And so it's just going to take time. Am I happy with the response by the judge here? Absolutely. But, immediately we heard that Republicans and others are going to take it to a different level. So it just needs to have a final judicial discussion.
So you think status quo until...
Of course. Yeah. The idea is somehow changing it, halfway or whatever percentage you want to use and do that, and then have to say, well, sorry, that we're not going to do that. Let's the system work, and we'll see what happens.
Justice Protasewicz, the newest member of the court, this will likely make it all the way up to the state Supreme Court, has said before that she protested against the law in 2020. She signed the recall petition targeting then Governor Walker. Should she recuse herself from this?
That's for her to figure out. I mean, I'm not going to advise her. So, yeah, we'll find out.
You have no opinion on it, though?
No, I do not.
Let's look ahead to the budget. Republicans say they're going to send you another tax cut bill rather quickly. They've said likely similar to the one you vetoed last year, reduce some income tax brackets, exclude some income on retirement income. Have you changed your mind at all on that version of the bill?
Well, we're not. My budget is going to look different than theirs, and we're spending time on that right now. So it's hard for me to say, well, we're going to be against this or that. I will just point out, we reduced taxes significantly over all my budgets, and we have proposed it several times. So the idea that somehow we have, and we saw data just recently about how low taxed we are as a state, that I think we're in a good position. Does it mean that we look at something differently? Possibly, but my goal is to get my budget done, and then we'll figure that out.
Are you open to a Republican bill?
Well, it depends on what that bill is. The idea that somehow they're just going to throw ours out and we're working from theirs is baloney. Something like that just isn't going to happen. We have a new legislature now. I know the show is still run by Republicans, but it's a lot different than it was before. And so I'm anticipating that there'll be more activity trying to find common ground, and that is going to be a good thing for Wisconsin.
This surplus money, the $4 billion, to the argument that, well, this is the taxpayers' money, it needs to go back to them. You say what?
Of course, any money that we deal with is taxpayers' money. So there's nothing new about that. So if their idea is that, yes, we're going to send every dollar back and run a deficit, That's obviously stupid also.
This past week, as we start talking about the budget, you started listening sessions across the state. You'll be in Milwaukee on Tuesday. You're going to unveil your budget proposal next year. You've said some of your priorities include expanding Badger Care, legalizing marijuana. The state superintendent wants an additional $4 billion for education. Republicans say all of that is dead on arrival.
Yeah, well, Badger Care, Badger Medicaid expansion is still really important. So we're going to go for it. I can feel very confident saying that areas that are represented by Republicans are probably going to get some extraordinary health care help with Medicaid expansion, maybe even more so than our urban areas. So they're going to have to think twice about that, whether they think, well, we're just going to be against this because Robin Vos is against it, or this might be something good for our constituents.
Have you met a Republican who's open to changing their mind?
Oh, they don't talk about that personally. But you think about central Wisconsin and the healthcare needs in central Wisconsin and northern Wisconsin. They're significant. And the idea that somehow we're just going to throw away $2 billion that would come from the federal government, that's not going to go away.
Are you going to include the full Department of Public Instruction's request $4 billion in your budget?
Well, we haven't done it yet, but that's a big number. I will say that. And so we'll take a look at it. Obviously, the only commitment we've made is money for the UW system, and that we will be putting in the budget. But as far as the education budget yet, we haven't even gotten that far in the system. All I know is the numbers I saw about that, I think, are a little high, and I'm not sure we can get there, but we'll see.
Speaker Vos told us the UW funding is dead on arrival in his words.
Yeah, so was shared revenue last time, and we got through that. I mean, he can talk all he wants, but you know what? He ain't governor, and he's not in charge of the Senate. He's in charge of the Assembly. The Assembly looks a lot different than it did last time around. So I take his comments as it's the way he works.
He also told us the other day that he wants to introduce, as part of the budget, language that would require state employees to return to the office 3 to 4 days a week. Would you sign the budget if that was included?
No. It's working. We're working. We've heard for years the idea that somehow it's not fair that so many of the people that work for the state of Wisconsin come from the Madison-Milwaukee area. Well, we went out of our way when we during the pandemic and post-pandemic to hire people in Rhinelander and all sorts of different places in the state because we knew they could work from home or work from an office that's remote from Madison. That's working. And, I think it's important for us to say we want to get the best people working for the state of Wisconsin possible. And sometimes that will mean that they will work from home, part-time, full-time. We can work that out. It's working fine now. I know he's got all this data and I can't wait to see it. But the fact of the matter is, I think it's important for the state to be open to having people working from home, especially in parts of the state that we haven't had a chance. Not all the good workers are in the Madison and Milwaukee area. There's a whole bunch of them across the state. And we want to have a chance to have them working for us.
Let's talk post-election. You mentioned it a little bit with the new numbers in the Senate and the Assembly. Broadly, Trump won all the battleground states. You campaigned with Democratic governors across the blue wall. What happened?
Don't know. I'm not somebody that can go back and kind of figure this out. But clearly, there's some magic around the president-elect that people see that maybe I don't see. But we're going to work with Donald Trump and his administration in the best way possible. But and I know Kamala Harris and Tim Walz worked very hard. We knew it was going to be close. It was close, and frankly, it just didn't turn out that way.
One proposal he's talked about a lot is mass deportations beginning on day one. I'm curious, as governor in Wisconsin, would you fight that, or would you defy any federal orders in any capacity?
Well, what we have to do is communicate, and we've started that communication process about how important immigrants are to our economy. And the idea that somehow we're going to send people home that are undocumented, it'll destroy our dairy industry and many other industries. And so what we've been doing is saying, pass that bill or something similar to that was available let's solve this, and taking them away from their farm work or someplace else that they are working if they're undocumented, and sending them back, and then saying, okay, now let's make some changes in the law. We have to have changes in the law, federal law first, before they get down that road. But I think they understand that. Some of that is rhetoric.
You think so?
Yeah. You know, they had Republicans behind that bill, and whether it's that bill,
The Senate bill you're referring to.
Yeah, and so let's pass that, and then let's have some discussion. But as far as taking people from farms and factories in this state that are the backbone of our economy, that will not work for us.
What are you willing to do to stop that in the state?
Well, we'll find out if they get that far. I'm not sure they will get that far, so I don't want to prejudge that. I'm going to stand on I-94 going into Chicago saying, you're not going here. But we're going to fight for this. There's no question about that. They just need to use their common sense and pass a bill that it will change.
Tom Homan, the incoming border czar, has said, he used Denver as an example, saying he's willing to jail the mayor if he impedes a federal law enforcement officer.
That's just stupid talk, frankly. I mean, come on. He's going to be an important person in working for the president. Making threats like that are irrational. Let's calm down. Let's pass a bill that people can support, and then let's talk about whether we have to stop people at the border. All I know is that our egg industry and dairy in particular, and many of our manufacturers count on that labor. And if they decide that they're going to start shipping people back, we will do everything we can to prevent that from happening.
I'm curious, as you look ahead to the midterms, to 26, are you going to run for re-election?
Oh, we're not at that point to make that decision. I'd say we'll do that probably after the budget is done this year, but I am so focused on what I was doing and now the budget. I love what I'm doing, there's no question about that, but we'll see what happens sometime after the budget.
You know there's a lot of Democrats and Republicans listening to your every word on this.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, there's a lot of people lusting after this job.
And you may still run for re-election. It's open in your
That's
mind.
That's one of the options. Well, there's two options. Either I run or I don't run, and there's just two. And I'll make that decision sometime this spring.
Governor Tony Evers, Governor, like always, we appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Up next, the Republican response, the lame duck sprint, Congress back in Washington, Trump's nominees on the Hill with all the attention turning to January. Congressman Tom Tiffany standing by next.